You don't think that a lot of people just want to argue with you? That's what I had
Oh, they're
before. I had
trolls.
to,
They're trolls, definitely.
yeah, I had to comment on somebody's page. All I did was say, like, they were talking about reverse racism. And I told them that, that doesn't
y'all are
exist.
admitting white people are the root of the first race.
And then I had like 4 white men arguing with me about how white people were technically a minority in California. And I was like, I don't.
And the thing is, they don't understand how that's even more further proof of white supremacy, because how are you a minority and still have so much privilege and power?
You
that
try
could
to
only
explain
be
these
because
things.
of systems that are bent towards you. Like,
yeah, you try to explain it and you're just like, no, like, there's no such thing as reverse racism. I don't have the power to affect your job.
Right.
Just because someone called you a little white boy and that hurt your feeling.
That's
not racism.
That's what white people think racism is, right?
They sure do.
It's like,
I think it's a feeling. It's just a feeling. Why don't you just get over it? Why don't you just get over why are you letting yourself feel racism?
You gotta say
why do you let yourself feel racism?
You gotta save some for the pod, y'all.
All right. Let's start. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Rona Report. It's your host Elizabeth Chijioke here. We're so glad to have you today. It's Juneteenth. All right.
I'm Chi.
I'm Rock.
And I'm Marisa.
Welcome, you guys. So, welcome back, everyone. Today we'll be talking about. It's Juneteenth. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I'm really excited because I feel like I just woke up this morning and I feel really, really free, and I feel like so blessed, and I feel like I'm just thankful for everyone who's come before me. And I'm thankful for everyone who's here with me now, and I'm just thankful for, like, you know, what's to come. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I'm just like on that wavelength right now. But this is the Rona Report, so we are going to be talking about the Trump rally happening in Tulsa tomorrow, June 20th, that was supposed to be happening today, June 19th. And kind of just, we're going to be talking about the details surrounding this rally. If you happen to know this, Donald Trump decided to have his campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, inviting, you know, his supporters to the Make America Great Again rally. And there's kind of just been a lot of, you know, concern, not real concern, but just like a lot of talk about it, because it's, you know, we're 3 months into COVID season and we're not really supposed to be meeting in groups. And yet he's doing this. And for those of us who are not Trump supporters, we're like, oh, this is great. But for those of, you know, for just regular people who are like, what's going on? It's interesting. So I wanted us to kind of talk about that today. Any thoughts, you guys? Like, how y'all feeling about it? And let me know if I left anything out.
Well, I don't know if Trump, I actually do not think Trump realized it was Juneteenth. I think that whomever is putting together, because Trump doesn't decide the dates.
Stephen Miller.
He doesn't decide the, boom. I think that person was signaling to his more sympathetic white supremacist people. They were nodding and signaling and saying, hey, we're gonna do it on this day. This is why. I don't think Trump knew it. I don't give him enough intelligence to have known, okay, this was a holiday, a sacred holiday in the African American community. I don't think he did. But I know the people that were working for him understood this very intuitively and picked Tulsa, Oklahoma on purpose, and were signaling to white supremacists that, hey, we're doing this. I also think that it's unfair to healthcare workers. If it wasn't for the healthcare workers that would have to take care of these people, I would not care if these people got coronavirus. They can go out, do whatever they want to do, but most likely the people that will be at that rally are some of the people that will have the worst health outcomes if they were to be infected by the coronavirus, because they're older, they're rural, which means we know rural communities
healthcare
have,
very low,
have poor healthcare. So, but the nurses and doctors who have no sort of involvement unless they're going to those said rallies, that's not fair to them. It's not fair to taxpayers in Tulsa who aren't going to that rally, that will have to subsidize the cost of whatever healthcare is. So it's and he's the president of the United States. His own White House has issued directives about social gatherings, and he's contradicting his own directives. Like,
that's his entire. That's the administration. But
that's more position on this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think one thing I'd want to highlight, thinking about Juneteenth and as it being a day for celebration and thinking about the going forward, and I think also giving space and respecting all the work that has been done to get us to the like where we're even at these steps, but also like framing this holiday appropriately. This day was actually 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed into order. And it took a general with 2,000 Union troops going to Galveston to say, by the way, y'all need to actually enforce this executive order. And I only say that because I think it's important for us to, again, not allow for like the idea of like, oh, Abraham Lincoln freed slaves. Abraham Lincoln signed a piece of paper. He actually didn't free us. Like, that's not how that worked in terms of just making sure we're not framing people in heroic senses, where I think there's still a lot of opportunity for really healthy critique. But yeah, and I think kind of like leaning off the cheese point, like there's the attack to the people who indirectly are going to be involved in this. That's like just heinous, because even if it's like other essential workers at grocery stores, like these people are still going to be living their lives because clearly they don't care about living their lives the way they want to live their lives. So they're probably the same ones who are advocating to get their hair done and do all this other stuff, where they're going to be in social spaces probably not wearing masks. Like the fact that I know folk who've been out protesting and have not, and like also got tested and then are negative because they're out there wearing masks, and everyone at these protests are wearing masks. But then when other folk who are not protesting in defense of Black lives are going out, they're not going out with the same concerns for safety and the repercussions of their actions. And it almost feels like they in their own way, they want to celebrate their history by saying, we burned this down once and we'll do it again.
Right. It's our way or the highway.
Right. And I do also agree with you. I don't want to give any intelligence points or credit where it's not due. So I think this is more of an administration trying to make a move, saying that they're in line with the worst of what he could choose to do or allow to happen.
Yeah, because I think if Trump is one of those people that if you put him, it really depends on who's around him. His only concern is him looking good. So if he was surrounded by a whole bunch of neoliberal Democrats, he would be towing the neoliberal Democratic line. Trump just used the Republican Party as a vehicle for him to president. He really doesn't. I don't view him as an ideological person. He's not. But he should be smart enough to know when he's getting used, and his ego's so big that he's not even cognizant of the fact that people are just keeping him around because they want him to sign things and do things. And
I think it's interesting, and I don't want to actually, although I think it's really important that we have dialogue concerning kind of the administration and the White House, and kind of enlighten people as to like the truth about Trump and the Trump administration and like all that they do. I don't necessarily like to spend too much time on him, because I feel like his goal is to be a reality TV star, and he does that well. And he wants people to talk about him. He's a narcissist, like, you know, so the more time we spend on him, it's kind of like we're fueling like his machine. And so like I'm always, that for me is always like a delicate, I always try to like balance that and find a delicate balance between the two. But I think that Rock, you brought up a good point, which was, you know, here you have like a community of people who are just like, it's our way or the highway. We're going to go to this protest. You're going to make sure that our needs are heard. And how that relates to kind of like what Marisa, you said last episode, was like COVID protests and COVID movements are literally about, you're going to serve us. We don't care about anything else other than like what we want, and we're going to execute like what we want. And I guess my question would be like, how does, like, at this point in COVID, or at this point in COVID, like, should we still be like trying to operate in a cohesive manner, just like as a nation, or should we kind of just let everyone kind of just like do their own thing? Like, how should we be just moving? Because yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there.
I don't think we can let out everybody do their own thing. We let China do its own thing, and that's why if we've learned anything from the Rona, is that we are all connected, and if one of us or a few of us step out of line, it exposes a lot of us to different outcomes. So I don't think, because it could be so these people get out of the rally, they go back to the parking lot. There's a young black man that's a parking lot attendant. He gets infected. He takes it home to his mom.
Yeah.
Mom gets infected. Mom is taking care of grandma. Grandma gets infected. Grandma dies. He wasn't at the rally. He didn't do anything. Same thing. There's a black STNA. She's 23. She wants to be an RN one day. She has to take care of Jill, who went to the rally with her husband, Bob. She takes it home to her kids. Kids hug grandma and auntie. Grandma and auntie died.
Yeah.
That's how it goes down. So,
yeah.
No, we can't let everybody. It's selfish.
But how do we do that, though? How do we operate? Because at this point, it's like, when, you know, the Black Lives Matter protest started, or kind of just like, you know, you don't even have to be a Black Lives Matter like associate, but like, you know, just standing up for George Floyd and just the murdering of Black people across the States. Like, when that started, it's almost as if COVID went away. It was like, oh, we're on it. We're like, COVID
Right.
doesn't exist anymore. It's like, this is what we're focused on now. But, you know, people who are paying attention and people who are just like thoughtful about it are like, I don't think that's how pandemics work. I don't think they just go away because something else is being highlighted in the news. So like, how do we, yeah.
I would say, one thing
Go
I would
ahead.
push back on, one thing I would push back on is the idea that people who are protesting for Black lives are not aware that there is a secondary pandemic happening, in terms of the one that was I was say the one that's happening before, but the one that just more recently started happening, which would be COVID. Because again, like when I'm saying, yeah, people are out protesting, people are out passing out masks, people are out making sure people are taken care of and covered. Like, it's not, it's this is like, the people who are going out and protesting in response to in defense of Black lives recognize that COVID is also killing more Black lives the same way cops are killing more Black people than anybody else. So it's almost as a part of that protest in defense of Black lives that people are also wearing masks at these protests in defense of Black lives.
I mean, yeah. I don't think people thought it went away. I think something more acute came forth
Right.
to the public psyche. So, and then Floyd was just really kind of jarring.
Yeah.
That was really, I was on Wikipedia because I was doing my, I serve on the board of a voter advocacy nonprofit, and I told them we need to make a statement. We need to do a press release, and I was like, I'll draw up the statement for it. And I was trying to make sure I had my dates right, so I went on Wikipedia and looked at the George Floyd page, and they have the page of that officer literally kneeling on this man's neck, and I'm just like, how did we let this happen? On Wiki.
The George Floyd's page was a picture, like on the page was a picture of the cop kneeling on him.
Yeah, of the George Floyd. I don't know if it was George Floyd protest or George Floyd.
Yeah.
But when I looked at it, it's that's you know how Wikipedia on the right side it has a picture? That's the picture. And I had to collect my information and click on. Yeah, because you can see Floyd is turning purple. So I think that's why people were like, what is going on? Like, we got to get active.
Yeah.
People, and then it wasn't we had so many, like 4 Black people were killed even before Floyd. We watched that young man, he was in a chase with the police and they caught him.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the thing about that one is that wasn't
Taylor.
even police, that was civilians. So again, recognizing that white supremacy is not just an issue within one specific job industry. It's not like this is an issue within the mindsets of many people who are living in spaces with Black people, i.e. people who are more than able to do harm, which is why it's so dangerous.
Like, George Zimmerman.
I think
he wasn't a police officer.
Yeah.
He was just a crazy person.
Yeah, he was getting this
community watch, which is why again it's not just about
Zimmerman was getting, well, it's about white male assumptions in society and how they feel like they should be able to move with impunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to. Because almost always it's white men.
Yeah.
Well, almost.
No, I was gonna say no. Actually, it's actually more people of color, like men of color. Actually, George Zimmerman is Mexican, and I feel like a lot of people know that. Like,
he's something. I don't know if he's Mexican, but he was definitely scared of speaking Spanish in his trial.
He's Latino.
He's a Latino of Latino.
The last name Zimmerman.
Yeah,
that is.
He's of Latino descent. I don't think he would classify himself as Mexican.
Right. He's definitely not white Protestant male is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people,
but still very performative of whiteness.
Right.
Exactly. It is.
Yeah.
It's in a white man. It's white male.
Yeah.
I control. I dominate. Like literally, what that officer was trying to establish is his dominance and power over Floyd, even in a position where he had clear dominance and power.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what happened. People were so jarred by that and constantly being inundated with those images and those tales that it was like, I gotta get up. All right, Rona gotta sit on the side for a minute.
Yeah.
And we'll see the consequences of that, good or bad, as time goes on, because we're seeing an uptick in infections. So
yeah.
So to go, so Rona is still here, but to go back to the Juneteenth rally that Donald Trump wanted to have in Tulsa, and why that was so offensive is because Tulsa is the Black Wall Street. It was the first place truly where Black people were prospering. All of us. They had like 10 restaurants. There were 4 banks. It was like $1 million back then in 1921. And what happened was, they call it a race riot, but it wasn't a race riot. It was a massive lynching that happened there. And there were 300 Black people lynched, and the city was burned to the ground. And by today's standards, it was like $25 million worth in damage. They burned it, they leveled it. And that's why it is such a disgusting place to have this rally. That being said, Rona hasn't gone anywhere. But my question is, like, do I care if these people go to this? I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. If y'all get infected, if y'all get sick, the only thing I think that the hospital should do is like, yo, if you guys want to go to this rally, then, and I've said this before, you need to sign away your rights to come to a hospital. I mean, they're signing away their right to sue Donald Trump if they get sick.
Right.
The hospital should do the same thing.
Right.
They have to sign a waiver before they even buy their ticket, saying that the Trump administration is not responsible if y'all get sick. You cannot sue us. It's the same thing that the hospital should be doing, because let's face it, now the infection rate has completely escalated. It's higher than it's ever been. However, people aren't dying the same. And I do believe it's from what the doctors were saying before, not this idiot, but the doctors were saying before, that it might go away, not go away, but be less with the summer heat. This is the hottest summer that we've seen. This is the hottest May we have on record. So I know that it sounds.
I don't even think it's, sorry to interject. I think that the reason why it may not be killing as many people is doctors have learned some therapeutics as to how do we control some of the symptoms, and that information has started to be transmitted. So instead of where doctors were like, oh my God, we don't know what's going on with these people's lungs, we can't save them, now enough doctors are talking to each other. It's like, okay, this is how, if you get a patient infected, this is how you start. This is the plan to start trying to help them along the way. And because basically now the only treatment for COVID is like, let's stabilize you to the point where your body can fight this off. So maybe
on your stomach.
I do want to say that. Go ahead,
in a respirator.
Marisa, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, the main thing that they're telling you is, like, if you have it, because you can't even go to the hospital until you're damn near dead, is just to lay on your stomach so that because it starts with your back. It starts closing off those cavities that usually on your back. So they tell you to lay on your stomach. Don't sleep on your back, because it will start closing those cavities. That's what they're basically saying. But you can't go to the doctor till you're damn near dead.
Yeah.
Now, when the second wave hits, because this is still the first wave, and it is the hottest summer we have on record, we still have to wait till October when we start getting that influenza season, and we got the second case, which is supposed to be exacerbly worse, or I don't know if even that's a word, but it's supposed to be like extremely worse than what we've, like, these are kiddie steps. The virus still hasn't mutated or anything. Well, they found a strand of mutation in Europe in their gyms, and it's actually much more aggressive and much more contagious. So it hasn't gone anywhere, and I don't care if these people get it. I don't. Like, you have no purpose other than to be out there, other than to praise Donald Trump's ego and make him feel like he is loved and that he is welcomed, and you will put your life and your family's life and your children's life at risk because they've made the mask political now. It's a sign of weakness to wear the mask, or you're a liberal if you wear a mask. So if you don't want to do that, and if you are a carrier, even if somebody who's not a carrier has a mask, if you are a carrier without a mask, you are 70%, you are 70% more likely to spread the disease. And that's saying that I have my mask and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So if the Tulsa people want to get out there and they want it to be inside, God, go with you, go with God, like, be in a closed space with this disease. I know the tragedy that happened there. I know the significance of the day. If you want to be out there, break a leg. Break a leg. Don't go to the hospital, though.
Yeah. We'll see how many people.
Black people stay away.
How many people come?
Now black people stay away. Everybody stay away.
Part of me doesn't believe he fills that place up like he usually does.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I do not care.
Part of me does. Maybe he gets half, which is still like 10,000 people, but
you think 10,000 people are going to show up? Really?
They picked Tulsa because it's kind of in the middle of Trump country. So people are supposedly going to be able to come from Texas, from...
I mean, were there even 10,000 people at his when he got inaugurated?
Yeah, but that's on the East Coast. That's different. This is Trump country.
All right.
People come to his rallies. I'm not gonna hold that man. People come to his rallies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, like, you've been warned. Like, science is saying don't do it. The medical profession is saying don't do it. If everybody's telling you don't do it,
he feels
you
it
do
up
it.
like
Oh well.
But some people still gonna be out there. But I don't think he fills it up like he usually does. I don't think they that stupid. I hope not.
I mean, you could hope.
Yeah.
You could hope. There's always some fool.
I
don't believe in it.
What I was gonna say was that, like, I think that we all agree that, like, if you want to live your life that way, like, we as a community, as like just people of color, just in general, I don't know if I can speak for all people of color, but just here at this group, we would argue, not we would argue, but we would hope that we as a community of people, like, come together and really, like, prioritize our safety and our health. But if the fine people of Trump country would like to go to this rally, like, by all means, live your life, live your best life, boo. However, outside of that, go ahead. Chi, what were you saying?
I will say I don't really want to knock. I don't know. I can't knock them because I've seen people.
Why?
I can knock them because
Why?
I can knock them for that. But at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of young people do dumb shit too.
That's where I was going with that. So what I was gonna say was just, like, outside of just, like, you know,
this is a different kind of dumb.
No, I think it's a thing. What's been happening in my circles and in my community, and what I've just been hearing is just like, oh, well, since the protests are going around, and these are not people, these are groups of people outside who are not, I'm not outside of those who are protesting, like, just people who are just, like, carrying on, like, normal day life and just, like, watching to see what the dialogue concerning, like, COVID or the Rona has been recently is like, oh, it was always a hoax, because why aren't the protesters getting it? And, like, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna, like, just live my life.
But they are.
And
they are getting it.
Yeah.
They're just not dying in the same way.
They're just not dying. You think about the demographic. If you saw a whole bunch of old people protesting for ARP rights, they would be dying. But
it's a life or death situation also. Yeah. It's a totally different cause.
Yeah.
No, I don't think, I'm not equating the protest. I'm not, let me get this right. I said that people are just doing dumb stuff.
Okay.
And people are doing dumb stuff, and what is normal to those people who are most likely racist or racist adjacent is to go to a Trump rally. What's normal to certain young people is to go out to Prospect Park.
Right.
So everybody's trying to move like it's a normal time, but it's not normal anymore.
Right.
And that's the problem, is that people are being selfish in their own ways. Right. Is it more jarring and more disgusting that people are going to a Trump rally in Tulsa and they try to go on 19th? Yes, it is.
Yes.
But those impacts are going to be the same regardless.
Right. Regardless of, like, what your motives are behind whatever your moves you're making, the fact is that you're still making a move, right?
Exactly. And you could potentially put people in harm's way because you want to make that move.
I still don't see it the same. I don't. I feel like this is different. Like, you are actively going out of your way to hurt someone, whether it's intentional or, like, this time it is intentional, because we've told you that this is deeply offensive, and you want to go anyway to celebrate this person who has orphaned over 3,000 children, who has I'm sorry, I'm getting so, like, like, he's an evil person. Yeah. They're celebrating an evil person who was endorsed by the Ku Klux Klan. This is totally different. I do not respect you.
Do that regardless.
That's the decision you want to make.
Marisa,
go ahead.
I would like to interject and say, like, although you're
stole people's health care too.
Although I'm with you 100%, but although the intentions of those going to this rally are different from those going to Prospect Park, the beach, or just carrying around normal day life. Like, it doesn't matter what your intention is. It doesn't matter whether or not it's malicious. It's about you actually still going out and participating when general science and like health is kind of like, don't do this at this moment, like take it easy. So I get what you're saying. It's not the same in intention and in the motives, but it is the same in actual, in effect.
And impact.
Yeah, and impact. So like I hear you, but
it's the same, because what we're gonna see is, and if people cannot connect the fact that now we're seeing an uptick, I feel like, and this is weak, and maybe I'm going off base, the northern states, the East Coast and northern states buckled the fuck down. They buckled down. And I'm looking on Instagram and Twitter, and all my friends down in the Sun Belt were kicking it. Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, they were all having fun.
Atlanta's still open.
Dallas is open.
Why are you like brunch?
People need to wear masks out here.
Brunch.
And now we are seeing the ramifications of that. And I feel like I don't know if people can talk about them, because this is what they was gonna do regardless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Corona, no corona, they was gonna go to this rally, right?
But even if you were quiet, like, at least you're a bit ashamed. You're not over here, I'm at the beach, everyone. Look at me. No, I'd be ashamed. You ain't ashamed?
Yeah.
I may go to the beach. I'm not gonna like broadcast my stupidity.
Rock,
you know? Like,
Rock, where are you? Sorry, Marisa.
Sorry.
I'm just waiting. Rock is processing, so I know she coming with that heat.
No, I mean, I'm really just like taking it all in and thinking about just like, yeah, like I know that the rates of death are going down in New York, but there's just something about the idea that it's like, yeah, but like directions don't matter right now. We're looking at 0. Like, that's the only number we're trying to look for and look to. Like, it's not about direction or, it's getting, no. It's like, we need to get to the point where there aren't deaths, where there aren't infections, where there aren't contagions. And it needs to go back to this idea of like, yeah, like, is it going to be a ripple effect where it was so bad in New York and there was so much going on, and that now just going to ripple out to every other state in a way that's going to be different because the governors are going to respond differently. When you think about like how Abbott over here opened it up in Texas, and my mom just had to go back to working at home. Why? Because someone in her building got caught up with that shit. Like, they tested positive. And so it's like, y'all sitting up here having all these motherfuckers who y'all have not been corralling. And I'm saying that because you're acting like motherfucking like selfish and like disrespectful. I don't know, like, I deserve to have all the space available to me at all times type of shit. And it's like, y'all didn't actually tell them about themselves when this shit first happened, so they haven't been taking care of themselves. So that means you've had people who probably got it, had it, or passed it at some point in time during when other people were actually quarantining, and now you're putting them back into the world and letting them go out and be people with carriers or antibodies or some shit where it's like, yeah, like, you may not have passed it when you were in quarantine, when other people were in quarantine, but now we have people who weren't quarantining properly, and we have people who weren't quarantining at all, engaging with people who are slightly coming out because they're trying to break away from their quarantine.
Right.
Okay. I can rock with that.
So it's an intermixing of sorts that kind of just takes us back to where we were at the beginning, right?
But exactly, this is why when you were talking about, does it matter? Can everybody do what they want to do? No, they can't. Because Rock, you just made the point. If I've been quarantining for 3 months and I'm exhausted, and you ain't been quarantining, and I meet you, then I get infected.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right. Whereas if we were all doing what we were supposed to be doing, we wouldn't be here now as a nation. And that's
real quick, just real quick. The difference I feel is if I meet with somebody who hasn't been quarantining properly, because I've been quarantined. If this person who possibly could have it, if they're wearing a mask, I'm more protected. This rally, they are actively against wearing masks. It's a sign of weakness. And it's a sign of liberal. They've associated with parties now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where your politics are.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
Yeah.
They are actively going against the protections that are put in for everyone's safety.
I hear you.
So instead of just like, oh, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm just going to be reckless. But if you call me and like, oh, let's meet up, and I'd be like, girl, no, I'm not getting out of the car because you don't have a mask on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm driving away now. You done lost your mind. How dare you expose me?
Yeah.
Like for real.
I think it's a hit or miss in that, because I've been quarantining for the last, like, since the beginning, and however I still go out to like exercise and I go for my daily run, but I also have my mask on. When I'm out in the streets, there are people who, yes, have their mask on and they're exercising and they're doing their thing, and then you have people who are riding their bikes. It's summer in New York, like there are people who are just like, it's over or whatever the case, and they're just really living their life. So I hear what you're saying. You're like, okay, there's a difference between those people are going to, like, these rallies or the Trump rally, and they're just like blatantly like, this is a liberal thing, I'm not doing, this is a far left thing, I'm not doing that. However, there are still citizens, regular, city folk or, whatever, who are still like, this is a hoax and I'm not participating in quarantining, and like it's just as dangerous. So like I hear you, but it's like there's still a population of people who are just like, we don't care. It's just we don't care at different levels.
My thing, this is my thing. I just want Americans to apply a little bit more. I think the reason why people have even been able to kind of get away with this half as policy and these notions of like, I can get away, is because leadership hasn't been there from the top.
Yeah.
And every single state is having a different response to this. Oh, New York clamped down because New York was hit hard. California clamped down now, but people are now because of the economic damage that's going on and because people want to live life. I think for the most part, if we're being honest, everybody has kind of said, whatever.
Yeah.
Rona's here, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's especially kind of crazy that Donald Trump wants to pack potentially 20,000 people into an enclosed environment. I think that's wild, especially as the president.
Yeah.
And I think that's crazy. I will always think that crazy. But it is indicative of the general sort of laissez-faire attitude towards this, because it's, 3 months have passed and we're kind of just like, bro, we're tired. I don't want to be inside no more. I want to see my friends. I want to get lit. Everybody is tired. They tired too. But they were tired from the jump because they are so indignant that they were like, I don't care about that. That's the issue, is that they never even gave this a chance. But they also lived in states where they really didn't have to think about that, though, because the population density wasn't. The way that this kind of has worked out for Donald Trump supporters is actually kind of amazing. And I say amazing in a way, like not amazing in a good way, but just like I'm in awe. The people that were most affected by this were not his supporters. And because they were not his supporters, they didn't really have to embrace the reality of the fact that COVID-19 was a thing. They were able to kind of like skirt it because maybe they live on 2 acres of land outside of the city. They don't even come in contact with people often. So they're watching it on the news like, man, this is fake. Right. They're just coming up with, they got crisis actors.
Right.
So maybe this will be of benefit to them. Maybe they'll get together in that stadium, and it'll be, I think what they call it is I forgot the technical term for it, like a super spread event.
Right.
Super spread event, and a lot of people will get infected, and they'll go and infect their loved ones, and maybe it'll get real to them. I'm not wishing death on nobody, but hey.
Yeah.
But
maybe that
the reality
will be
is real, and now it's real to you.
Now it's real to you, and now it's like, because white people are great at that. They don't know how to empathize until it comes to their front door.
Right.
So maybe this was the first one doing that.
Republican
This reminds me of what's that congressman from Florida? I think his name was Matt.
Oh man.
Oh God, that fool.
That just came out as a gay man. I'm telling y'all, that's what he did.
He came out as a gay man?
That's what he did. He talking about, this is my son, my adult son. He's been in. No, bro. I don't believe that. Sorry.
You think that's his boyfriend? What are you talking about?
Ew, what?
I'm telling you. Y'all never heard of Jeff Epstein?
Yeah. No, and thing is, okay, so honestly though,
come on, man.
if we're gonna talk about some things where it's just like, yeah, like the lack of local news and the commodification of news, making it to where you don't hear about, there are not as many stories about specific people living really different existences. So that means like people are being pulled away from, people live completely different lives than me, and they're real people. People are being pulled away from that. But also part of that is that system of, like white men in power not wanting to get investigated by local news because they have the ability to do these in-depth and elaborate searches because they can stick with stories for a longer time because they're more incentivized to get the depth of the story, not just a soundbite. So like that's how Jeffrey Epstein got brought down. He actually was an investigative journalist that the prosecutor said, like, yeah, that was the crux of my case, was the work of an investigative journalist from a small local newspaper that got Jeffrey Epstein. So you know what they don't want to do? They don't want to increase local news. They don't want to empower local news. And they definitely want to make sure that when it comes to them having power and prestige to do all this shifty shit with literally like more kids going missing from detention centers, all this other shit. And we find out all the rich people are moving kids around.
Some of they ain't find some of the kids.
Y'all ain't lose no kids.
Yeah.
They're either dead or they've been sold to sex traffickers.
Yeah,
they didn't lose them.
These people are crazy, man. Yeah. So that's what if Matt Gaetz talking about this is his little colored son, man.
Well, it's because Matt Gaetz is an idiot, and he doesn't understand that Latinos come in black and white as well, and he just associated somebody who was Cuban with a non or like a non-white person.
Right.
It's just like, sir, nobody's heard about this baby. Nobody's heard about this.
It's not a baby. Oh, did you see that picture?
It's a political prop.
That's a grown man.
I do want us to we'll come back to
I'm
this.
sorry.
He's
so nasty.
No. I didn't
a grown man.
But, for time's sake, I wanted us to end on like I just wanted to end on this, like, you know, if you are out there and you're watching this or whatever the case may be, I do want everyone to know, and I said this in the first episode, like, we live in a global community. We live in like, every little thing you do, it doesn't matter. It impacts someone else. And so if you're watching this during COVID season, just, you know, my advice would be exercise discipline, selflessness. Like, I know it's really hard for young people, and I know it's just hard in general, but like, if we please all could exercise some type of discipline,
man,
some sort of like, what was that, Chi?
I'm itching to get on the plane. I'm ready to be like, man.
I'm dressed. I bought clothes last September that I just going out clothes that I just been wearing at home. I've been going to shopping in
Is that why you got a full face right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Do it up. Like, do you live your freedom how you want to live your freedom?
She is on camera.
Absolutely. Somebody's gonna see this face. So this has been the Rona Report. I'm your host, Elizabeth Chijioke. Thank you for watching. Y'all go ahead now.
I'm Chi.
I'm Rock.
I'm Marisa.
You got a full face.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yo.
You guys stay safe.